Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and today we're diving into Back or Not to Back. Now, last week I did miss, unfortunately, which means we have so many campaigns today. We have so many campaigns, and that's with me pushing off a few until next week. We're going to dive into this, we're going to get started, we're going to have links, timestamps, all the usual things, although I will probably spend a little less time, a little less detail on each campaign compared to normal, just because I have like, I don't know, 40 open tabs or something like that on my desktop, and that's way too many to go into. Let's go ahead and start this off. Starting off with, as usual, the Cult of the Now. The Cult of the Now is a little segment where before we dive into these 20 plus campaigns, we talk about the fact that you can get a game, a very highly rated game. What is this, number like 12 on Board Game Geek or something like that? Dune Imperium for $40 from Card House. Currently they have a sale on at the moment, seemingly, I believe, on like a bunch of stuff, so you can check out things. I found like a lot of the prices were okay, but $40 for Dune Imperium is certainly not the worst. It's a good price for an excellent game, one that I love, and that's going to be available now. You don't have to wait to see if it shows up a year now. You don't have to worry about any companies closing or any campaigns getting delayed. You don't have to wonder if the game is or isn't good, because, I mean, it may not be good for you, but at least this is a validated game by a ton of people as being great, and all for the low price of $40 instead of what you usually pay for on crowdfunding. Make no mistake, I love crowdfunding. We're about to spend a whole lot of time on it, but at the same time, sometimes you can get games that aren't, you know, with all the cons of crowdfunding. Although sometimes there are some really cool games. We're going to talk about some of those today. In fact, make sure to stay tuned till the very end where you have a small card reveal for Mindbug. Mindbug's going to have like Mindbug, an upcoming campaign for next week, has a card reveal. We'll get to it. Timestamps as usual. Starting off the bat though with cancellations and not funding. We have over here Flutter on GameFound, unfortunately canceled. They'll be relaunching over on Kickstarter sometime soon. It wasn't 100% clear on the exact when, but they'll be coming back to Kickstarter. This is coming from Phase Shift Games. They've done the Dungeon Drop and the other one, the Dungeon Drop and the Spaceship one, whatever it's called, but Flutter was entirely in game. On GameFound, that was not doing well enough, and they will be moving it over to Kickstarter. So that's going to be the one cancellation we have. In the not funding category, we have two. We have The Thinning Veil, which is a relaunch, and this one is still looking tough. The Thinning Veil, $148,000 goal they're looking for, $74,000 raised, and this is one where I think that the price point on this is expensive. We talked about this last time, but it's $149 for the base pledge and $192 for the miss pledge over here, and then $246 for the primordial, all for a dungeon crawler that looks good. The game looks good. It looks like it has a lot of content. It looks like it has some great miniatures, but it's just a big price point to ask without a, again, I can't, there's always a different size of things you speak from, but as somebody who plays these games, I'm always looking at them and thinking, okay, great, what's pulling me in? And while The Thinning Veil does look good, as a consumer of this genre of games, I'm not seeing something that has me hooked, and I am seeing a high price point combined with a lack of being hooked, and I think that's probably, I mean, don't get me wrong, $74,000 is excellent, but $148,000 a goal, they're going to be creeping towards us. We'll see how that goes. From there we have Chemical Overload, 24 days to go, 137 backers, $10,000 raised. This is another one that's struggling. This one likely will not cross that finish line at the moment, at least based on how things are going, and this one looks like a deck builder, a Dominion-style deck builder, in which you're going to be, like, you have all these potions, and you're, well, building these potions. You'll have your flask, your bottles, augmentations. The actual core mechanics past that, don't know. The art looks great, I will say that. Art looks great, but it's not managing to land quite past that. I will say, like, I was looking at this campaign, and I was like, am I interested enough? I've had surprisingly good shelf control the past several months, by the way. This is a tangent, but I usually do that once a month series of what I backed and didn't back, and I don't know what I'm doing for March, because you actually have to back things to have a series about what you did and didn't back, and I've been very good. April, by the way. April will be bad. We'll talk about that later. But either way, Chemical Overload. This is one that, again, not finding at the moment. It looks good, but not catching people enough. From then we move into the start of a very long list of active campaigns, starting off with Marrakesh Essential Edition from Queen Games. This one's going to be ending very shortly, and this one, Marrakesh Essential Edition, 42 hours to go, 545 backers. This is Queen Games basically taking the Marrakesh game and making everything smaller to give it to you at a more affordable price point. To that end, there's two main things to know about. I'm not going to heavily go into Marrakesh itself. If you know about it, you know about it. If you don't, you don't. This is one of the newest Stefan Feld games, if not the newest Stefan Feld game. And by newest, I don't mean, new version. This is actually the newest Stefan Feld design that I'm aware of. Overall gets a lot of positive ratings. I haven't played it enough. I've played it. I like it a lot, but I need to play it more before I give a full review. I'll have that at some point. But the main thing you want to pay attention to, because yes, there's going to be a cheaper price point compared to traditional Marrakesh, but you want to go ahead and pay attention to the differences, which if you scroll down over here, we can scroll down over here. We have content, classic versus essential. Over here, they're going to show you the differences in the boxes, the components. All these things are sizing stuff, not a ton of reasons to be scared off past the FOMO of like, hey, I want the cooler, bigger thing. The thing you do want to be mindful of is there's 92 wooden keshis in this game, and 300 wooden keshis in this game, and then a bunch of cardboard keshis past that. And I don't know the exact way they're utilized, but I imagine the reason they have some wood and some not is because they do have a cube tower, and that's essential to the way the game operates, which means you need the wooden keshis, but then I guess they'll proxy them into cardboard keshis. That's going to be the big one where you might look at that and say, you know what, maybe I just want the big deluxe version. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Like, I started going through this and I was like, hey, good, an affordable version of Marrakesh. And then as I got to here, I was like, again, speaking as a consumer, that's where I kind of went into the, I don't want a mix of wooden and I don't know. Either way, this is a way to say get the game at a cheaper price point, but with definite compromises made along the way. That's going to be Marrakesh from Queen Games. Then we have Sentinels, the Multiverse Disparation expansion. No real major updates here. This is the Backkit campaign, the Greater Than Games campaign over on Backkit for the third version of the game. Just a minor note, I did actually have a chance to finally play through the newest edition of Sentinels, the Multiverse, the Definitive Edition. The Definitive? Yeah, we had Essential, then Definitive. The Definitive Edition. I have a review coverage up this past Saturday. You can check that out. But I definitely do want more of this stuff. I do like Sentinels a lot. It has its flaws, but I enjoy the universe, I enjoy the world, and it's just fun to pull out a bunch of decks and play through Sentinels. And yeah, that's just in case you want to check that out. That is a review that went up this past Saturday. Then we have Of Dreams of Yesterday from Weird Giraffe Games. $7,000 raised, 303 backers, 4 days left. This is a spiritual successor to Dreams of Tomorrow, I want to say. It's Dreams of Tomorrow, yes, the spin-off to the Dreams of Tomorrow. This is going to be a small box game, and this is actually worth noting because you see a box like this, and like that looks like a nice box like that. It's a box like that. That's like a card-sized box. You can check it out in the pictures down below. You'll see more pictures of that. Not to say it's a problem, just when you're factoring in the price point, just there is a degree of factoring in. But say, I've occasionally backed things that showed up in a box that was smaller than what I thought it was going to be, and there is that moment of, I thought I was getting a bigger game. And ultimately, what should matter the most is the gameplay, but box size and components do factor into perception of value, as well as just general physical components you're getting through. Past that, this is going to be Dreams of Tomorrow, a game of collecting various cards and also having the abilities, Dreams of Yesterday, a game of collecting cards and having abilities in cards. They can be overlaying them and have active abilities at any given time. So a bit of set collection with abilities. That's Dreams of Yesterday. Some tie into Dreams of Tomorrow. I don't know much about Dreams of Tomorrow. From what I saw, though, they look like they have some similarities to them. But that's basically what's going on. You're going to gather your exhibits, put them here, have the active powers, all of that in Dreams of Yesterday. As far as pledge levels, if we go over here, pledge levels are, where's pledge levels? I had pledge levels a second ago. Click on pledge levels. Pledge levels. Pledge levels. There we go. Pledge levels over here. $9 for the game, plus shipping, of course, and then that's going to be for the game. But again, very small box game. Not saying don't get it, just saying factor it in as far as what you're actually, like the box size of everything you're getting over there. Moving on to D.E.I. Divide and Impera over on GameFound. This is €140,000 raised, 1,000 backers so far, and this is D.E.I. Divide and Impera, an area control game, and specifically with the Faith and Anarchy new expansion. D.E.I., if you haven't watched my content in the past like 3 months, I love this game, I adore this game. This is one of those games that, again, 7.8 on BGG, that's very respectable. For me, I love this game. I am having so much fun with this game, and it might be one of those games where my own opinion has a disconnect from how well it's liked. It is well liked, don't get me wrong, but most people are like following, like 7.8 seems to be the average on BGG, and I'm like, I love this game, I don't know why people don't like it more, but overall, D.E.I., I adore it. It's everything I like. Everyone I've played it with has had an amazing time as well, which leads to, like, there is always that conversation around groupthink in general, where you have a general groupthink around how people interact with an experience and how their excitement can carry over to others. I have played this game with 7 different people by now. In terms of the groups I've mixed up with, I've played this game with 7 different people, all of which have seemed to really enjoy it. I think from the 7, there's only one I haven't talked to in detail about it, but the other 6 have all super enjoyed it, and the 7th, I think they enjoyed it, I just didn't actually talk to them after. And so overall, this is one that definitely has been loved by the people in my group who have played it. It's very intricate. I love the area control. Lots of ways to, like, it's a very simple system that has a ton of ways to break in the system. I'm a huge fan of it. We'll see how the rest of the year goes. This is currently my highlight of the year as far as new finds for this year. But either way, as far as the game itself, there's going to be a bunch of content over here. There's going to be the ability to get all the content if you haven't already, the ability to get miniature content if you missed out on it. So for example, we have the Faith and Anarchy expansion over here, introducing 2 new factions with some, I don't know the full rules and details and breakdowns of what the factions do, but I do know that one of them comes with one of their little like drones that you can wander around the board. Another one has a building, which is interesting. The Cult of Corona can be used in solo mode as well, but it gives you a very static cathedral capable of moving things and living beings through time. So I have no idea how this works, no clue, but that's as far as what you got over here. And then for the why back now, they have a few things. They have 12 new market cards, which I'm excited about. This game thrives on the powers, the abilities, the extra market cards, all the things that mix up the game in terms of the ways you can break or adjust the rule set. I love. And so 12 market cards, definitely on board for that. They also have leader rings, which is something that I didn't realize they were going to do, but it makes complete sense. One of the complaints that has happened in gameplays I've been in is you can't always tell where the enemy's leader is, and sometimes that very much matters. And so they're giving little leader rings, which I admit I don't love the looks of these, at least the ones over here, but I do like the fact that they are giving something to more obviously distinguish where a faction's leader is on the board, because they're small miniatures and sometimes at a glance you just don't see it. And then lastly, they have 10 faction sheets for their various factions, so at an overview you can get faction abilities without having to reference a variety of rulebooks. That's going to be the Candy Boost pack, which is for free at any pledge level over here, so you can just, if you're backing the campaign, you'll get this for free with the campaign. Past that, there's a variety of pledge levels over here to get a various variety of content. You can get the core box and get the White Death expansion, the Candy Boost. You can get the all-in to get all the various content, which basically translates into getting, like, I don't know, where is it? It translates into getting the White Death, the Citadel, and the Candy Boost for free as far as price point versus what you get. So lots of stuff over there. And then as well as that, if you are someone who bought the Meeples version of the game, you also could buy individual miniatures separately. So you could buy miniatures separately for the game in case you need any of that for the experience and you have the Meeple version or any of that. I think you can buy all the stuff. Maybe not, because I'm seeing Citadel miniatures. The Citadel miniature, what is this? This something, this please not the core box included. I think this is everything. I think I have the Citadel miniature. I'm pretty sure I do. Now I'm going to go double check, but like I'm pretty sure I have all this stuff as far as I know. You can upgrade your Meeple version box. Yeah, you upgrade the Meeple version box. That's what you're doing, I think, as far as things go. Core game miniature pack. Here we go. Yeah, so this is the core game miniatures. You get all that. So yes, these are all things you can use to upgrade the specific game versions with the miniatures of the game. That's going to be everything D.E.I. Again, for me, a fantastic game, but definitely check other opinions and reviews and all that. Although there wasn't a lot of videos. There's like no videos in the game. Like video reviews just has me over here. I don't even know if there's. No, that's not true. I don't know why I said that. There's more over here. I'm sorry. There's Pectec. The popped up. They have Pectec Games. He's been covering. In fact, Pectec actually is one of the people I've played it with. We have Man vs. Meeple. I'm sorry, a ton of reviews. I am so sorry. I missed that over here. On Table has some coverage. Lots of stuff over here. Check that out. Check out opinions on Board Game Geek as well. That is D.E.I. from Ludus Magnus Studios. From there we have Unmatched Adventures, Tales to Amaze, 7,000 backers, $370,000 raised. Unmatched Adventures is bringing you more Unmatched content, but also, for the first time ever, it's bringing you cooperative Unmatched content. So first of all, highly recommend watching this video. Fantastic video, definitely pulled me in. And I'm somebody who doesn't actually like Unmatched, but I do find myself very compelled by Unmatched Adventures, because I didn't like the tactical, I didn't like the head-to-head aspect of Unmatched. It's not a skirmish game that vibed with me, but any skirmish game is a totally different beast when you're playing it cooperatively. So the idea of Unmatched as a cooperative experience, totally down to play it. Not saying I'd love it, but I have my interest reignited in it, and especially if you watch that video, excellent video that will really pull you in. For $60, we have the core Unmatched Adventures, which is also coming with the promo for the Alien and Doom miniatures. That's going to be something you can get in limited quantities on web stores or conventions or stuff like that, or over here, like in this, Kickstarter and all that. That's going to be the main compelling reason to back this campaign, as opposed to waiting for retail, to get some of that stuff. And then the promo foil card pack as well. Those are the extras you're getting. But basically, it's Unmatched Adventures. You can use, you're going to have it looks like you have two different enemies to fight against, this, like, space alien enemy, and then this giant fly enemy, and you can use any of the characters in this box, or you can use your existing Unmatched content, and as well as that, you can also use Unmatched content as far as, head-to-head, the characters in this box versus existing Unmatched as a full-on competitive experience. So a bunch of ways to utilize the content here, and I'm sure if this does well, they'll continue to release more content, so you can further mix and match the various people you fight off against the various enemies. Again, all good things in theory. Haven't played the game cooperatively, no clue what it plays like. I know that for me, I don't like it competitively, but a lot of people do, and then as far as cooperative, well, I'll let you know if or when I actually play it. Until then, I'll just look on from the sidelines, realizing that I have so many games I need to play that I should not back. This is why I've been very good at not backing things in March, by the way, because all these games that I am tempted by, that I'm compelled by, I just keep asking myself, I'm not playing games like Rurik or D.E.I. or Inish or El Grande enough. Am I going to pull out these other games and prioritize these new things over that when I have both unplayed and games? I'm getting better at self-control just through sheer necessity of, having to. But either way, that's going to be as far as we have for Unmatched over here. Lastly, is scroll down. Let's just show you the stuff you're getting with the extra. Let's show you some content, the Doom alien tokens, miniatures, all that stuff. And then if we keep scrolling, you see the various characters, the stuff, and we see the extra. This is the stuff you're getting as an extra if you, as well as the foil card pack over here, if you back the campaign. Alternatively, you'll have to wait to get those stuff at, you know, conventions or all of that. As far as should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value? A core box, pure retail stuff, no, it definitely won't. It'll be cheaper at retail. But the flip side is you are getting those extras, which you'll have to either hunt down or get at conventions, and so that definitely helps. And Unmatched is a popular title, so I'd say you're probably going to get roughly what you paid for this. Once you factor in shipping and all of that, you are getting extras and exclusives, so it probably works out to roughly balance as far as that. Although if you're looking for purely the cheapest, just wait for retail and get it all then. Moving on, we have Let's Go to Japan from AEG, and this is always fascinating to me. Like, this is 7,000 backers, $464,000 raised. This thing is doing tremendously well. Now, like, I played Shake That City from AEG, their, like, recent campaign, and I personally prefer Shake That City. I like Let's Go to Japan, I like Shake That City. Both of them are a little lighter for me, both of them are fine experiences, but I prefer Shake That City. And, like, to me, like, I don't understand exactly what goes on. Sometimes I am good at calling what a Kickstarter will do, what a crowdfunding campaign will do. I cover a lot of campaigns, that means I can look at things and be like, yep, that's going to do X amount or X amount. You get enough kind of general experience. Other times things just surprise you. Like, I am shocked that this is doing $450,000. I don't understand what the huge appeal is, but clearly it has picked up some degree of appeal. And it's not the first time this has happened to me. I think I have a weakness for certain types of lighter games that manage to find an audience and a crowd and do very well, that sometimes they just hit me like a surprise. Which, no disrespect, by the way. I'm glad this has an audience. I'm glad people love it. I just find it fascinating to watch a campaign blow up to 500,000 that I would have predicted at like 50 to 100K or best. Either way, Let's Go to Japan. Let's Go to Japan is a set collection game as you go on a journey through Japan. I have review coverage, you can check that out. But the basic idea is from Josh Woods, who, in fact, fun little story, he was planning a trip to Japan when COVID happened, and so he had to kind of shut down those plans for who knows how long, or at all. I don't even know if he's ever gone since then. But he instead made this game as a kind of tribute to that, and that's this game. And it kind of has slight vibes to Santa Monica, another one of his designs. He also designed, the one I have that I like from him is, Cat Lady. I like a lot from Josh Woods, so he does a lot of work with AEG. But Let's Go Japan, set collection as you try to go on different journeys and be mindful of your energy levels and your stamina and your cost levels and all those things as you gather various symbols and have your activity of the day. Lots of fun things there. The game's going to have 2 pledge levels, $39 for the retail edition of the game, which if you're getting that, I'd recommend just getting it at retail. I don't see a reason to get this here as opposed to, like, for the $39 plus shipping, you're going to find this game cheaper down the road. That's a guarantee. I mean, I think it's a guarantee. I'm not actually a guarantee. It's a guarantee. It's going to be cheaper down the road. But once you factor in shipping and all that, and obviously that is region dependent. I'm referring to the US. Wherever you are, that is a different conversation, so I don't want to speak to all places. But in general, in the US, your local online retailer will have this game for cheaper than $39 with free shipping on a larger order too. But at the $69 level, you're getting a lot of stuff. And when I say a lot of stuff, I mean a lot of stuff. And they're really appealing to people who want to kind of get all the extras, the experiences. You're going to get a few things over here. You're going to get the game, but you're also going to get it wrapped up in a designed furoshiki cloth, which, by the way, this is the kind of thing that blows my mind. I've been covering Kickstarter campaigns, crowdfunding campaigns for 3+ years now, and I think I have seen a furoshiki cloth once, as in today. Today is the first time that I've seen a furoshiki cloth being offered in a game. And we have 2 in today's video that are offering a furoshiki cloth. 2 games are offering, maybe I just never noticed in the past, but 2 in one day and never before. Let me know if you've been following campaigns the past few years. Let me know if you know of a campaign that has given you a furoshiki cloth as part of the stretch goals, pledge levels, whatever, anything else. I'm fascinated as to whether I just missed it, but like, either way, furoshiki cloth is going to be a way they give out gifts. You're going to get one of those. You tie it up nicely, kind of, it's a reusable packing paper, so to speak. You pass it on, use it for your next gift. Basically, it's just a fun little way of having packing paper that's not thrown in the garbage. Past that, you're going to get a gold foil embossed box. You're going to get upgraded tokens. You're going to get more upgraded tokens. You're going to get bags and more bags. You're going to get an upgraded journal for the score pad, which is very cutesy, little, like, you know, authentic aspect to it. The day trip expansion included in the box, and then 4 of these custom Nami printed ceramic bowls that you can use for any of your game bits and any of your games. And you have a little random Let's Go to Japan game bowls. So again, they're laying it thick on as far as, you know, all that's basically for an extra $20, I think. No, $30. An extra $30 to get the furoshiki cloth, to get the upgraded stuff, the upgraded bits. That overall is very solid as far as the sheer amount of stuff they're throwing your way. Now, I will say this is one of those tricky parts. The game is on the lighter side. Lighter games historically have had a slightly harder time holding their value, but they are giving you enough of a kind of overall experience and picture here that this one could well hold its value with all the extras they're giving, but also is like a little weird, like how is that going to be packaged or given or resold? Are you going to be keeping the bowls, the cloth? A bit of a question mark there, but I think this is popular enough right now, it has enough appeal, and they throw in enough extras that if you're kind of selling it as a full bundle value, I think the $69 pledge is fairly safe as far as holding its value. But that is going to be Let's Go to Japan, a whole bunch of fun things there, and let's move on to the next campaign, which is going to be Galactic Renaissance. Galactic Renaissance from Amaze, 1,300 backers, $120,000 raised. I will say that this is one that I was not expecting Kemet numbers at all in this campaign. Like, this Galactic Renaissance I was expecting to do, well, I don't know what I was expecting exactly, but I knew this one would not do it anywhere near as well as Kemet, but I did think it would do a little better than 120,000. This is from the designers of Inish. This is the spiritual successor to Inish. Similar to the way Yucatan was the kind of spiritual successor to Kemet, we have Galactic Renaissance being the spiritual successor to Inish, although much more different. This is more just part of the political trilogy as far as being an area control game that you're trying to be mindful of, not so much of combat, but much more about manipulation as you build your deck, play cards, and try to figure out the mindfulness of the playing your cards in the right order and triggering you. You don't shuffle your cards either, so there's a lot of deck control as far as how you trigger the sequence of the cards, which is hugely important because the sequence is everything in this game. Being able to manipulate the people, moving your people around the board, and then creating the right buildings, and then playing a senator card so you can go ahead and score everything, a senator card so you can score everything. Lots of manipulation and small little things in this game that really have a lot of levers to press here in order to ensure the win. Very well done game. That's going to be Galactic Renaissance. As far as the pledge levels are putting you as a kind of, here we go. First of all, I gotta scroll down here. This is one of the things that Matago does do that I don't think is the best. They have a lot of pledge levels often that are related to kind of situations as far as local pickups or local things or all that, which means the first few pledge levels kind of cement the price. Like, you pop over here and you're at €42 for the game. A price for a friendly version of the game will not receive any stretch goals. So this is like the basic retail version of the game, $46, which, by the way, really not a bad price point when you consider games like Inish are much higher than that. But once you go past a few of these here for France only, we get to the €75, the $82 Galactic Renaissance with all unlocked stretch goals, or you can jump to €100 for the all-in for the game, which includes playmats, sleeves, and the 5th player expansion, which you may or may not need for these games. I haven't played this game at 5 players, so I can't speak to how well it does. I can say it works well at 3 and 4. 2, I think, is a very tactical experience that you may or may not like, and then 5 I just haven't played, but I think 5... I'd have a hard time seeing 5 as my preferred player count, with the caveat that I have not played it at 5. And then, of course, the sleeves and a playmat for that. And although, again, even there, looking at that, the playmat I just don't think is something that I'd really need. It's kind of for the scoring board, so you just have a playmat for the scoring board as opposed to, like, where you're actually doing things, because the game itself has, like, planets kind of being laid on the board, and so the playmat's just a scoring board that you unroll, which I don't think has the same value aspect as far as why people would want them. So I think I'm kind of more on the fence of just get the base game plus any expansions you might want. I mean, I don't think you'd really need them, so just get the stretch goals and the extra boxes and all those things, the token up boxes, no, what do they call them again? The game up boxes is what they call them from How to Go, giving you extra content, some senators, some various tokens, some abilities, things like that. Get the stretch goals and all that for the game. I don't think you need the extra all in. As far as should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value? Hard to say on this one. It's not pulling in the same audience that like a Kemet reprint did, which means it's going to have a harder time following that secondary market as well. I think it is a good game, but I don't know what kind of critical acclaim it will receive or not, and that will be a factor. If this is the kind of game that lands and everyone's like, it's amazing, then yes, people will be seeking out your Kickstarter copy of the game. Versus if it lands and it doesn't receive enough buzz or hype or all that, and speaking for myself, like, I like it a lot, I do, but I still would, as of right now, I still would pick Inish over it for now, so I don't know how it lands. Like, I was in the same place with Yucatan. I like Yucatan a lot, but I still prefer Kemet, and even though I see the pros and cons of all the back and forths, like, I'd love to own it, but I don't know if I'd pick it as often over a game like Inish. So I'm curious to see how it'll do. As far as holding its value or not, I'd say if you want to play it safe, just wait for retail, get a copy then. If you want to go ahead and get all the extras of premium stuff, and there are extras and premium stuff, go for it, but I wouldn't be 100% confident to hold this value because it's not pulling in those eyeballs and that demand. Moving on, we have Nekojima, 1,473 backers, $84,000 to go, $84,000 raised, 8 days to go. This one is certainly compelling. Between the price point and between the game looking different, it's compelling, but I have to imagine this is a gimmick. This is one of those self-control times. I need self-control on this one, so help me out. Talk me through this one. Give me all the reasons not to back this one. This is Nekojima over here, and it's about keeping balance on the cat island. Why is everything cats? Because they sell, I guess. They sell. A never-before-seen board game. Basically, you're going to roll dice over here and then draw a cube from the bag. The dice you roll are going to determine which colored sectors of the board you have to put your things on, and then the cube you pull from the bag is going to determine what color rope you have. So for example, if you pull a red cube from the bag, then you have to grab one of these sets that have a red rope, and they all have different lengths of the ropes. And then if you roll a blue and a purple, you'd have to put a red rope thing across the blue and purple sections, and you can stack things on top of each other, but you can never have the ropes ever touching another rope. These are electrical wires, and you do not want that to happen. And then depending on what you draw as well, you might be putting cats onto the ropes as well, which will obviously shift their tension and alignment. So it's like a fun little balancing game with an interesting twist as far as how it operates. I'm very compelled by that, but I still, like, listen, I haven't played it. I don't know. For me, balancing games have nearly always ultimately been a gimmick that I enjoy. I'm always happy to play. Like, this to me is prime convention material. Would I love to play this at a convention? Absolutely. Do I feel the need to own it? I mean, I want to own it, but that's a different conversation entirely. And the price point, though, isn't bad either. The price point, we have €38, $42 for the exclusive pledge over here. That brings you the base game, the Lazy Cats expansion, the special thank you box, all unlocked stretch goals, and then for €79, you get the wooden collector box, which means, but that should be clear, the $86 pledge over here is not like an all-in. That's for the collector's box and wooden things, meaning so it's kind of an all-in, but like a deluxe fight over the top. Like, if you're one of those people that skip the wooden box, well, you probably could skip this as well. You're not getting a ton of things you necessarily need there. So only $38 or so, €38, $42 for the game, which is really not bad in today's system. Obviously, plus shipping, factor that in. But look at this. Look at this. Look at the puzzle you're creating here. It looks like it's a fun time, but it also looks like a one-trick pony. I'm both intrigued and compelled, and also we'll see. We'll see. Either way, that's what we have here. As far as should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value? The price point's great. It's definitely pulling people in. For a dexterity game, this right now, for a dexterity game in this vein, is doing well. So it has a bunch of people who it's compelling in some way, shape, and form. It ultimately comes down to how hard it's going to be to track down and what the price point and retail availability will be. I would say that this is one that could go either way. Kind of depends on the retail availability and price point as far as the main linchpin, but you're probably not talking about big swings in any direction. So if you're kind of person, if you're falling into the camp where you're like me, where you're compelled, you're interested, but you also feel like you should save money, just save money. If it's good, it'll show up at some point and someday. Some publisher will pick it up and say, we want to distribute this game, and next thing you know, it'll be $32 at Miniature Market. Or alternatively, you can go ahead and just get it now and enjoy it because you'll be able to have access to it earlier, support the publisher, all those things, and worst case scenario, you'll probably pay like $10 more for it, and it's a cute little game. You know, figure it out, but it's not expensive enough to be a huge difference either way, but that's my kind of overall thoughts on Nekojima. Moving on, we have Cursed Goblins. Cursed Goblins, 87 backers, $2,900 thus far, $2,900 raised, 8 days to go. Cursed Goblins is a game of basically trying to kind of think Hanamakoji, think Hanabi, but competitive. Players are holding hands of cards in their hand. They have these hands of cards, but they don't know what's on their cards. They can't see their hands. But you have to give them information across the course of the game. You have to give them information, and so it's up to you to try to manipulate the information you give them, hoping that the truthful facts you tell them, you have to tell them the truth, but hoping that whatever information you give them is enough that it makes them think what you want them to think, and therefore play the cards in a way that helps you, either by fooling them or alternatively by incentivizing them to play cards in front of other players because of the knowledge you've given them. So it's an interesting puzzle of manipulating the other players through truth, but not necessarily full truths, and being selective about what areas of truth you go into. The concept sounds incredibly appealing to me. I like the idea of kind of having to figure out. It's kind of like, if you think about it, it's kind of like One Night Ultimate Werewolf, which is a game I really enjoy. One Night Ultimate Werewolf very often is about trying to figure out what it is you can say that will produce the desired output on behalf of the other players. Although in that one, you're allowed to lie as well, so it's a different conversation. But I like the concept of it. That's Cursed Goblins. Price point's going to be $20 for the game, plus around $8 for shipping, and that's where things fall apart a bit, because at the end of the day, you're talking about $28 for something that's a deck of card size. Going back to earlier in the conversation today, perception of value, gameplay design is still there. All the design work behind a big box game is still there with a small box game, but perception of value is still a conversation. It's just hard to sell a game for $28 that's the size of a deck of cards, unless they're like, I don't know, CCGs or something like that, which have firmly established a model that people expect to pay through the nose for ridiculous stuff. So that's going to affect the should you back it, should you not, because I think a $28 price point is going to be hard enough to do doing the Kickstarter, as evidenced by like the $3,000 without being higher than that, but I think also going to be hard on the secondary market as well. Moving on, we have Final Strike, Looking for Greatness, $7,000. This one's over on GameFound. This is one I actually had a chance to play this. I had played this recently at PAX East, and I both really liked it and also want to complain about it. But Final Strike, this is coming to you from Peter Yang and I know the other name. Let me see. Let's go to the people, who are we? Here we are. Lane Davis and Peter Yang put together the Final Strike, and Final Strike is a game of, well, landing the final strike. This is a weapon crafting system which you're going to be forging weapons and hammers and trying to slowly upgrade your deck as you go. And that's the key words. You are upgrading your deck. You're not adding to your deck. You're not deck building. You are crafting a better deck. Every time you craft something, you get rid of a prior thing, so your deck's always the same size. It's just being very selectively pruned and built around what you're trying to do in the game, based on the various bosses you're fighting against, because you're fighting against a sequence of 3 champions in the game. And by the way, this is very much in a Dominion style of game where you're going to have tons of variety. So every game is going to have different selections of weapons and different champions you're fighting against. So the combination of how you approach that puzzle is always going to be slightly different. And some of your weapons are focused on crafting, on building better weapons, and other things are focused on dealing damage. And you're trying to figure out, again, that combination of how it's all going to play out. And you're going to have things like crafting effects. So you can craft it when you gain a certain card, you'll have an effect. Or when a card is in your pile in front of you, it'll have an effect. Or depending on what you do with it, it'll have an effect. And so you're trying to build out your stuff to approach the enemies and hopefully come up with that best combination. I really liked it. I'm still thinking about it. Like, I just want to play it right now. I'm thinking about the game itself. It has a very pixelated style. I didn't love the box cover, but I think they changed that. Like the original box cover, let's see if we can scroll through here. Like, this is a little better. That's a little better. I didn't love the prototype one over here that you can see over there. But overall, the art's good. The new box cover is fine. Very, very retro style to it. The gameplay is very rewarding. My biggest complaint against it is the Final Strike mechanic, which if you don't mind this kind of thing, not a big deal. For me, I definitely do mind it, and I'm kind of annoyed at the game because I really like it on the one hand, but I really didn't like the Final Strike mechanic, which is the name of the game. The Final Strike mechanic is the idea that as you defeat the champions, you're slowly hitting their blood, and as you collect blood, that's worth points. But only every 4 blood is worth a point, versus when you kill a monster, you might get, like, I don't know, like 8 points. Meaning the entire potential, if there's, like, I don't know, 40 health in the monster, that's 10 points worth of blood that you can take out, and so all the players combining, working together, will slowly chip away at a collective 10 points. But the person who lands the last blow, they'll get, 8 points alone. Which that works kind of in a 2-player game because of the nature of the game. It's very tactical and back and forth, but anything more than 2 players, and it starts lending itself to king-making and inefficient plays and things like that. So I didn't love the Final Strike mechanic, but I really like the rest of the game around it, and I could see myself enjoying this as a 2-player game because it has that kind of, I have to pace myself. I don't always want to do more damage. Sometimes I want to do enough damage that I trigger you to the right amount of damage, and it's a back and forth puzzle. So I can see a lot of potential as a 2-player game, or just the Final Strike mechanic being less there. But again, also worth noting, I don't like the Final Strike mechanic in any game that has it. Arcadia Quest didn't like it there. Wildlands don't like it there. Ignite didn't like that there. Anytime there's a mechanic in which the person who deals the finishing blow gets most of the reward, I've never liked it, and that's true here as well. Sorry for spending so much time talking about the game, but I really like the game, but also being frustrated with that one aspect about it. But that is basically Final Strike over here. Past that, the price point, $55 for the base game, which is, again, a bit of an ask. This is one of those things where the game looks a little more indie, and it looks like it should be a little cheaper, but it's giving you a lot of content, to be very clear and very fair about that, but it's still a big ask because once you $55 suddenly translates into like $65 once you factor in shipping and all that. So there is that aspect. Is there shipping? Let's take a look over here. Where's the shipping? Stretch goals, shipping. Why only within the USA? $8. Flat $8 shipping fee within the USA. And that's basically what we have for Final Strike. A solid game. I think if you get this one, you'll very much enjoy parts of it. But it does also depend on how you feel about that mechanic of Final Strike. Moving on, we have Forge. I'm trying to remember where the next game is that had the Fuka, I can't remember what it's called, the wrapping paper. Either way, Forge. Forge is another game over here. 253 backers, $12,000 raised. This is a game about crafting your better Forge, improving your Forge, and crafting weapons and all that stuff from Fundamental Games, from West Woodbury. This is going to be you a game, but worker placement strategy game of being a blacksmith as you improve your Forge, as you go ahead, Varial Path to Victory, worker placement, tableau building, Forge contracts. I apologize, I'm reading straight from the page at this point. Basically, you have a Forge, and you're going to be improving your Forge as you figure out the way to build up your tableau and improve your tableau as you craft a variety of weapons as you go through the game. The price point of the game is going to be $55 once you get, here we go, $56 US to get this. Let's ignore the Canadian part. Well, not ignore the Canadian part, but just don't, as a US backer, don't think it's $76 US or whatnot. So $55 US for the core pledge over here, and then $107 for the Master Blacksmith, which is giving you basically 2 copies of the game, so it's just basically 2 copies instead, and then ability to ship a copy as a gift or all that stuff. But that's basically going to be the game over here. And again, same kind of problem as Final Strike. You have that aspect where it looks a little bit like it might be cheaper, but $55 price point wise, and this is one of those balances where art and production and its components and all those things, they are factors in how much people want to pay for a game. Speaking as a consumer, when I look at a game like this, and I think that the art doesn't shine out as being a great end product visually speaking. I think the art doesn't impress me on the game. And so a $55 price point on a game that might be the best game ever, but doesn't pull me in. Like, I'm not inspired to get this game, unfortunately, and I'm seeing a higher price point on it, even though mechanically, this game might be everything to me. I've done a lot of videos on art and the nature of pulling people into games and how important that is, and I think that probably is why we're looking at, $12,000 raised and 253 backers on a game that still has a lot of solid testimonials of people who played and liked this game. I've been in that position myself as somebody who plays a prototype, really likes it, and then try to talk about it, but people still don't back it because people back with their eyes. I include myself in that category. We're paying a lot of money for games. We want them to look and feel like premium products, and I think in the case of Forge, I don't think it does look, or I can't say feel, but I don't think it looks like a premium product. As far as should you back, should you not, will hold this value. I think the $55 price point combined with what the game looks like is going to make this a hard sell. I think it's not going to be a game that gets a ton of attention and people wanting it after the fact, at least not in its current form. Moving on, we have Tír Na NÓg between Roads from Grand Gamers Guild. $21,000 raised, 570 backers, $18,000 goal. Tír Na NÓg is a game of, well, tableau building, as you, not really tableau building, set collection kind of, as you gather various cards, place them into your grid, and try to score based on sets of colors, as well as based on the specific scoring cards you have in each row. So basically, it's a point scoring optimization puzzle, which means one of a few things for me. I may love this game, or I may not love this game, which is arguably a binary statement that holds true for any game I ever play, but it definitely holds true for Tír Na NÓg. This is one I'm very interested by. I like the art, I like the style. Theoretically, I like the idea of having different rows and different ways you score points and you try to efficiently optimize around it. To me, point scoring puzzles are very much a jam that I enjoy. I like it in Cascadia, Calico, in Luna Capital, in dozens of other games that I can't think of right now. Skulls of Steadlick. I love the idea of trying to efficiently optimize ways you arrange and structure things to score points based on things, and it's a weird balance because you have to very finely hone that aspect. If your requirements are too out there, too crazy, then I find that it loses a sense of control, and if they're too simple, then it loses a sense of accomplishment. There's a perfect line to me where you can kind of see the patterns enough that there's something there you want to try to accomplish, but it's also not simple and easy and too easygoing. And so I found certain games, Cascadia, Calico, Luna Capital, Skulls of Like, I find certain games hit that puzzle very, very well, and others veer a little to the left or the right as far as how easy that puzzle is. And that takeaway is I'm very intrigued by Tír Na NÓg. Haven't played it, don't know anything about it. Price point wise, it's coming in at $36, which again, like, this is one of those problems. You have a $36 price point on Tír Na NÓg for the deluxe edition of the game, and you're weighing that up against games like Final Strike or Forge, what was it called again? Forge or Final Strike that have a higher price point for them, which again, that's just perception of all that. Tír Na NÓg looks very cool. I'm very interested in it, but I haven't actually played it, so I can't comment on it more as far as whether the gameplay is actually good or not, just that I'm compelled by it and interested in it and would love to play it. Moving on, we have Doomlings Overlush. More Doomlings content. 4,839 backers, $658,000 raised. This is more Doomlings content for your table. If you're not familiar with Doomlings, well, it's basically a... Well, let's go through it. Doomlings is a game in which you're going to be playing a bunch of Doomlings who are trying to develop traits to survive the fact that you're going to have catastrophes hitting the board. Eventually, you're going to have these various eclipse events. You're going to have, catastrophes over here. Once you have 3 catastrophes, the game will end, and then it's all about scoring points, and it's all about just card play and abilities. It's one of those very, very classic take that kind of style of card games where it's about the cards you draw, how you utilize them, playing them down, and kind of just totally random in the execution. Like, I think this game is adorable and charming. I've had the base game. It's a game that I think I got rid of it when I got... not Casting Shadows. What was the one before that? One of the games from the Unstable Unicorns people. I can't remember what it's called, but I like it. My kids like it. Either way, there's a lot of these games out there, like Exploding Kittens or whatever. All these games out there that have that kind of just focus on card play and just the cards are fun, but not necessarily a balanced gameplay experience. It's just about fun card play. And I've enjoyed them. I need water. I've enjoyed Exploding Kittens. I've enjoyed Doomlings. I've enjoyed... other games in the genre, but for me, Doomlings was definitely charming, but certainly not balanced as far as anything past fun card play, and so eventually I got rid of it once I found a different system that I enjoyed more that gave me the same vibes. And again, can't remember the actual name of it, which is bugging me. It's from the people that did Unstable Unicorns. They had a follow-up game with a bunch of little quest people. I can't remember what it's called. I'm going to give up and move on. Either way, this is more Doomlings content for the game, introducing anything from plushies to expansions to Overlush to basically mystery 4-card packs. They're kind of introducing almost like a CCG style aspect to Doomlings in the game. So you can have I'm not going to heavily go into this. There's a ton of content. There's various plushies. Various tiers comes with plushies. I think this more is informative if you want to know that more Doomlings content exists. This is going to be more Doomlings content. I imagine for most of you watching, you're probably not as much the target audience, and I imagine there's some of you who want the game, in which case, great, enjoy it. I've played it. I think it's charming and fun. I think it's just very much more focused on the category on the party game kind of genre. And for me, even within the party game genre, I like things that are a little different, like things like Just One or Monikers and all that. This is the kind of game I'm happy to play with my kids, but not one that I personally feel the need to jump into. Although I always am compelled by plushies, which you probably know if you saw me get Casting Shadows, but I have to play that game. I want to see if the game's actually good. That I don't know. But either way, that's basically Doomlings. A ton of content, tons of plus levels, spend a whole lot of money, and a bunch of collectible card packs with holofoil cards and rarity aspects, which doesn't really lean into my genre. Now you're going into random card play for party games with a degree of just, collectible card game-ness to it as well. So not my jam, but letting you know about the game. Moving on, we have Drums of War, the Epic Battle Games. 587 backers, $18,000 raised. This is Drums of War coming to you from Eclipse Editorial. They've done a bunch of games in the past, and this is their newest head-to-head two-player game as far as just a card row combat and all that. As far as how the game plays, don't know a ton about this. I mean, I looked into it briefly. There's a bunch of, being mindful of how the card plays, of paying the cost, of building out your deck and simultaneous play, a bunch of small aspects, but I don't have a good feel for how the game actually plays past a few buzzwords. I recommend watching Beastie Geek's video if you want to see more information on that. But this is Drums of War. It's going to be $19 for the game. €19 for the game, $21 for the core game of system, and then the all-in is going to be $49 if you want basically everything for the game, including the exclusive book, the premium sleeves, the initiative metal coin, the playmat, 30 custom wooden markers, all of that stuff there. Just a ton of stuff as far as that goes. As far as should you back or should you not, this is one that likely won't have a ton of demand. Head-to-head card games, again, it's a dime a dozen. It's very hard for something to stick, and you usually need something to really like Radlands is going to be a good example of one that did manage to stick as far as a head-to-head game, but they also have like the backing of being Roxley and having a huge loyal audience that's going to give it a fair shot. I think it takes a lot for these kinds of games to stick past the initial Kickstarter, and I just don't imagine that Drums of War will fall into that category. Moving on, we have Heroes of the Pacific, Battle of Guadalcanal. They have 970 backers, $99,000 raised. This is the next series part of, we have Heroes of Normandy, Heroes of Stalingrad, Heroes of everything, Heroes of Pacific from Devil Peak Games. This is raised, again, $100,000, doing fairly well. These games in general, I don't know the primary differences between Heroes of Guadalcanal compared to any of the previous ones in the series. I just know, or Heroes of the Pacific, actually. I don't know the difference between Heroes of the Pacific versus Heroes of Normandy or Heroes of Stalingrad, but it's more content if you like those systems. Tons of units, tons of strategy, tons of things. I just don't know the systems well enough to comment heavily on them. I will say these systems always look cool. I had Heroes of Stalingrad for a long time, and after 2 years of not playing it, I kind of gave up, but I still want to play these games. I think they look very cool. They look like they offer you the fun of miniatures games without the, cost of miniatures games. And there are times when I'm completely on board with a lack of miniatures, and these game systems are definitely one of those times. So overall, looks very cool. I love the art. I love the style. Very intrigued by it. And then past that, there's just ways to spend a lot of money. Anything from $39 for the core box to $85 to $93 for a bunch of expansions, $258 for a ton of expansions, and then I think that's where we cap out. $158 for just everything you can get for this game system. As far as should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value? Generally, these fall into a you'll get most of your stuff back, but not necessarily everything. There is a loyal enough audience of people who want the heroes of content and search out these campaigns. But also, again, if you look at secondary market, sometimes you'll find people who sold it for what they paid for. Other times a little less, but usually not a huge discrepancy. So maybe you'll drop 10-15% on what you paid for it, but you'll get most of what you paid for it back. Moving on, we have Dungeon Saga Origins. This is an interesting one. We have 1,800 backers, $235,000 from Manta Games. Dungeon Saga came out in, 2015? The original Dungeon Saga from them came out in 2015, although this is not compatible. Based on the FAQ, this is not meant to be a compatible system. They're using the same name, but they're calling it Origins, and it's meant to be the start of the new line. This is giving you a dungeon crawling experience. Again, how not compatible, I don't know. I never played the original Dungeon Saga. I know they had complaints to a degree. I really need water. We're closing on the last 4 or 5. We're just going to power through here. The original Dungeon Saga had a few issues as far as general reception. It was well received, but not amazingly well received. And Dungeon Saga Origins, I don't know what they're doing to address those or not address those. I don't know what the issues were. All I know is that the actual video, if you watch the video, which I do recommend watching, the game itself looks very compelling. Miniatures look great, combat looks great, it just all looks good stuff. As far as someone who is a fan of dungeon crawlers, I do kind of want this game, while also not yet having a strong hook. I don't have a major hook as to why I should get this game, but everything is well presented and well shown in a way that kind of does make me want it if I didn't have the all-in of Massive Darkness that I haven't gone through yet. So they're doing well as far as the video, they're doing well as far as pulling me in, they're doing well as far as just everything presenting well. I just don't have that hook, and sometimes it requires just playing the game to actually ultimately get that hook. Past that though, there's a lot of ways to spend money over here. There's $110 for the Legendary Pledge, $160 for the Ultimate Pledge, and that's basically it unless you are the retailer over there. So just 2 pledge levels as far as different ways to get in on this. And it looks like they are going to be jumping into this with the new system as far as they're going to be launching more Dungeon Saga content in theory, and I assume they will because the campaign's doing well enough for $230,000 for this. And again, it's a relaunch, 8 years down the road, bringing back more Dungeon Saga. As far as should you back, should you not, will it hold its value? Price point on it is definitely not small. The lowest price point to jump in is $110, which is not cheap, but also this stuff tends to do it decently as far as holding its value, but then also it's balanced by the fact that the people who backed the first campaign, that one definitely took a bit of a hit on the value once the first few months went by, because there were enough issues that it wasn't like the thing people were dreaming of. It was just an okay game at that point. So I think this is definitely a risk category. Could go either way, but I definitely would put it into the risk category. Moving on. we have The Last Kingdom, and this one I'm going to complain about a bit. Not a lot, but I'm going to complain about it a bit. We have The Last Kingdom board game. We have 1,100 backers, $56,000 raised, 12 days to go. This is coming to you from Gamelin Games, who are famous for the Tiny Epic series. Coming to you from John D. Clare, phenomenal human being. I had a chance to play games with John D. Clare at Dice Tower West. Lots of fun. In fact, D.E.I is one of the games that I played that with him as well. He seemed to really like it as well. So there's more D.E.I feedback for you. But past that, John D. Clare, I don't know anything about this game itself. The game itself, I don't know. I know Crackle has coverage in it. We have Mark Street has coverage in it, as well as a variety of other channels. But the game itself, looks like it leans heavily into the political sphere, and we have this quote from the Great Wall over here. Played it once, really liked the game. Theme is strong, mechanics are simple, but allow you to make some smart plays, and the game is hella fun. I want to play it more, definitely, from the designer of the Great Wall, which also means stuff to me because I like the Great Wall a lot. I think it's also an excellent game. A little messy to play, but when you do play it, so much fun. The game itself looks like it's a lot of, rallying, politicalness, choosing sides. Overall, looks very cool, very interested in the game. I will say there's two major complaints I have. Well, that's not true. I have a nitpick, which I'm going to whine about for a second, and then I have a major complaint. The major complaint part is just, it's using stuff from the TV show. It's a TV show, right? Not a movie. I'm pretty sure it's a TV show. It's using art and stills from the TV show, which means for a lot of people, I imagine part of the reason this is not doing great, even though Gamelin Games has a huge audience over on Kickstarter, and this game is not doing phenomenally well, and I think a big part of that is the fact that stills don't pull people in. Stills in games do not pull people in historically. There are times you can do it kind of adjacently, like Dune Imperium does it adjacently. They kind of have movie art, but it's rehashed in a way that it's clearly stylized to look more presentable. I don't think stills generally do well. There are exceptions, but they are the exceptions. I think this is one of those times where the presentation of the game is both going to draw in an audience, but it's also going to hold people back. I respect the fact that they may have had their hands tied by the licensor, this, that. It is what it is, but that's to me, even though it's designed by John D. Clare, who I like a lot of his games, I am just not interested in this game at all. Will I play it? Sure, if someone sits me down in front of it and has me play it, but past that, I'm just not interested in it. The other thing I will say as far as a pet peeve is, why should you back this game on Kickstarter? And this is where, and there are times I might miss this and not give someone a hard time when I would give them a hard time, but I'm going to give this one a hard time. I like them in games. I like John D. Clare. I'm still going to give this a hard time. Incredible value. The retail price of this game will be $70, but by backing on Kickstarter, you save $15. That's a fantastic deal that you won't find anywhere else. That's a lie. What do you mean you won't find it anywhere else? This game. So, lots of you watching this already know. This is not a surprise to lots of you. But I don't... Kickstarter is already a FOMO machine by the very nature of it. At least be genuine with your audience on reasons to back or not to back a game. I don't care when a company says, hey, the retail price will be $70, but you can buy it here for $55. That's fine. That's by my own standards, and these are only my own standards, these are only my own pet peeves, but my own standards saying price is here, but you'll save $15 by backing here, it's $55, that is reasonable to me. You've announced the price, you've announced the sale price, that's okay. But acting like that sale price is in some way the best price, like it literally says, that's a fantastic deal that you won't find anywhere else. You want to bet that this game will be cheaper than $55 down the road? You want to bet that? I'll take any number of bets with any number of you that this game will be available for less than $55 once it hits retail and no one's charging MSRP for the game. The MSRP for the game is going to be $70. By backing that Kickstarter, you'll save $15. By waiting till it's at Miniature Market or online game store, you'll get it for like $45, $50 with free shipping, and you will pay pay shipping over here. So this is not a fantastic deal that you won't find anywhere else. This is a tolerably okay deal that you will find far better everywhere else down the road. Again, personally speaking, I'm cool with it if you want to list the price and you want to list the MSRP and the sale price, that's fine. But don't pretend like this is some amazing deal when it's not. Because to people who don't know the system, they see this, they're like, boom, this is a great deal, I'll go ahead and back it. And then they back it, and then they get burned when they see it at their local game store for less, and they walk around, and I see these posts on Facebook all the time of people who are shocked that a game they backed on Kickstarter is cheaper, and I'm like, well, that was obvious because they said the price. They literally told you, they said, hey, it's a $70 MSRP, $55 price point, of course it's cheaper at retail, but they don't know that, and they feel burned by crowdfunding, and they don't back a bunch of other games because they are burned by that one campaign. There's a balance in how Kickstarter runs and how crowdfunding runs. I'm not a fan of pretending something is a deal that it isn't. That's my own little whining there. Then we also have this, protect your investment. When you back this game on Kickstarter, you'll receive a free pack of premium card sleeves worth $10. A pack of 100 sleeves is not worth $10. Again, it's just not worth $10. But whatever, I'll let that one go. This is the one that really bothers me here. Now, get it first, that's valid, by all means. If you're assuming they hold up with that, that's great. Support the creators, that's excellent, totally fine. There are lots of compelling reasons to get things on crowdfunding. I just don't like the idea that this is set over here. You won't find it anywhere else. Let me know how that holds up, because I don't think it's going to hold up. But anyways, as far as should you back or should you not, will it hold its value? No, I don't think it will. I think this is a bad price point with giving you a bunch of sleeves. The main reason to get this game here as opposed to getting it at retail is a bunch of sleeves. So if you want to pay an extra $10, $15 plus shipping, so maybe an extra $20, $25 to get a pack of sleeves, by all means do so. Otherwise, wait for retail. This game will be cheaper. It's going to be cheaper. We're going to move on now. I may have made some enemies, but hopefully not. We'll see. It's always tricky. It's just the board game space is very small, which means to a certain extent you're working with everyone, you know everyone, and again, genuinely, no offense to John D. Clair or Gamelin Games. I like a lot of Gamelin games. I love a lot of John D. Clair's games. It's my own personal pet peeve on that, and yeah. Moving on. Passengers, 148 backers, $5,600 raised. Passengers is a hidden role game as you try to ferry souls into the underworld with gorgeous art. I have not played this one in a long time. I played this game like 2 years ago or something like that, but I have not played this since then, so I can't really speak to it a ton. But I remember it was a lot of fun as far as the general ferrying souls into the underworld, using your items, trying to work in a degree of like very resistance adjacent gameplay as you try to figure out who is and who isn't bad across, I think it was like 3 ferries across the underworld as you try to slowly figure out who is good, who is bad, and all of that. That's the basic idea of the game. So it's basically a hidden role game. If you like games like The Resistance 1 Ultimate Werewolf, this is going to be in your lane. If you don't like games in that genre, then this probably won't change your mind either. As far as price point for the game, we have $30 for the retail pledge and then $41 for the deluxe edition, which is going to give you the large metal coin, the 8 screen printed wooden voting tokens, and 3 large wooden masks. So basically upgrading a bunch of the tokens to be the more premium in the game. As far as should you back or should you not, will it hold its value? Instinctively not. At the end of the day, with the 148 backers, that's just not a large enough audience for me to think this is a game that's going to pick up a lot of press and steam, and it means, charging $40 for a game, for a hidden role game, when you are getting hidden role games, again, using One Night Ultimate Werewolf and Resistance as a reference point, you can very often get hidden role games for significantly cheaper, and that's going to factor in as far as, the whole holding its value and all that. So, Passengers, gorgeous art, fun game, but also probably one that if you want it, back it with the understanding that you're not getting your money back if this is a game that's not for you. Then we have Wild Gardens. I thought we have another game. I could have sworn, now I'm not sure. Give me a second here. Let me just go through these games here, because I could have sworn there were 2 games that had that pack thing, but now I'm not finding it. We had Let's Go to Japan, which had that. Nekojima? Oh, Nekojima. Here was it. Okay, let's scroll down. Sorry, I want to find the thing before we continue. Here we go, Nekojima. And then we scroll down here, and we have this. Here we go. You see, the Furoshiki instructions. Printed fabric, Furoshiki instructions for the game. There we go. That's 2 games in one day. Let me know if you've seen any others in the past 3 years, because I am curious, like, what are the odds? What are the odds of that? Anyways, moving on to Wild Gardens. Wild Gardens from Rose Gauntlet Entertainment. It's a strategy game for 1 to 4 players. Their previous game was Keystone North America, which I really like, by the way. I like Keystone North America a lot. Speaking of puzzly games, I enjoyed the puzzle both solo and competitively. I think it's a lot of fun. And Wild Gardens is 1,000 backers, $104,000 raised. This is a foraging game as you wander along the path, collecting various forageables, using them to craft various recipes and ingredients and all that. That's basically the game. The game looks delightful. Artwork looks amazing. Very compelled. Nice chunky meeples. I have no idea whether this is a game for me or not. I can't tell you that at all. It could be too light. It could be just right. I don't know until I play it, but I do know that I like their last game. That's all I know so far, and I know that this looks delightful as far as the game goes. But as far as pledge levels over here, we scroll down here, we have $50 for the game over here, for the base game, 1 copy of Wild Gardens. We have $125 for the all-in games bundle, giving you all the tokens and everything, which is a lot, unfortunately, as far as just a lot, again, hefty price point for the game that has a lot, and the tokens are great. They have token boxes, token plates, token bundles, they have extra card packs, so they have a lot of things being added here, but it's still a lot to jump into the game, and then this is going to be for that, which puts me in a place of kind of just looking at it and thinking that even though I am interested in the game, I am very interested in the game, this one does fall into the wait for retail camp for myself, because I'm not interested in spending $125, and I kind of want to go all in or just go retail at that point, personally speaking. So it looks okay. As far as should you back or should you not, will it hold its value? It's following a similar model as Keystone North America, with a price point that was not the cheapest but not the worst, and then a bunch of premium token packs. And looking at the Kickstarter, looking at the aftermarket on that one, looking at the Board Game Geek Marketplace, that looks like one that you definitely took a small hit on across the board. For the most part, people selling it for like, a few bucks less. Not a major hit, but it's one one that, again, will unlikely to hold its value for sure if you go the all-in. It's going to be hard to get $125 back from that. And even with the base pledges over there, it's going to come down to general retail availability. So I think this is one that, if you want it, go ahead and back it, support the creators, get it earlier. And again, I like the last game a lot. I'm very tempted, but I also think it's one that will be less likely to hold its value. Which means we are down to one campaign left to go over today, one campaign before we go into the picks of the week. Now, to be very clear, there are a few campaigns I have not covered. The particular one is going to be the mech one on Kickstarter for $4 million raised. There are a bunch of campaigns I haven't covered. I will be covering them next week. At the end of the day, we're already creeping up on that hour mark by now, and I am very mindful of the fact that I don't want to spend an hour and a half talking. I'm already losing my voice slowly, and that's with me being thrifty on facts as I go through things. So yes, there are a bunch of campaigns we haven't covered, but definitely the one that is going to be covered today, because how could I not, is going to be the Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era from Chip Theory Games. $2.5 million raised. This is like my like going back to like calling Kickstarters, my number for this one was $3 million. I thought that Elder Scrolls would do $3 million. At this point, I think it's going to do 3.5 or 4. Now it's always tricky. They did like $1 million in the first 2 hours. They did $2 million in the first 24 hours, and then since then, the past like 3 or 4 days have an additional 500,000. So it is going to come down to the last few days, and we'll see how things go. But usually, I mean, if it's 18 days to go, that's a lot of opportunity for this one to continue to grow, for stretch goals to continue to be added to everything. I think this one will probably cross 3.5 and more likely will hit 4 million, doing tremendously well. And this is the Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. Now, I will say a few things before we dive into this. This is from Chip Theory Games, number 1. Number 2 is I work for GameFound. Now, I don't make that disclosure on every single campaign, every single time. I talk about it on a regular basis. I don't hide it, but this is a big campaign. Take that into account as I go through it. And number 3 is I will have dedicated pledge covers in this. I'm going to have a dedicated to back or not. I'm going to have a dedicated should you back it on this game at some point in, like, I don't know, probably in the last week of the campaign. And then lastly, just for funsies, make sure to check out Chris George Rimmerboard's video on 5 reasons not to back the Elder Scrolls, as well as later this week I'll be putting up my own little fun little conversation around that. Not telling you not to back it, but at least trying to be a bit of counter FOMO / reality check as we go through things. So whole lots of kind of side things. And the reason I'm giving you all those disclaimers is because I really like the game. Like, I really like the game. I had a lot of fun playing it. I had that opportunity to play this game, to go through a full, like, 2.5, 3 hour demo as we dove into it, and I really enjoy it. It's similar enough to Too Many Bones. Yes, it is Chris George. It is similar enough to Too Many Bones that it has a lot of the same DNA that I really enjoy, that I really like, and give me the same feelings and vibes that I enjoy from the Too Many Bones universe, but the same general structure that will be familiar to people who play it. While also being enough differences there that it's very much its own beast. Like, this is not a game where it's like, hey, there's 2 different zombicides, do you really justify owning both? No, this is more like Zombicide and Massive Darkness. There's enough DNA overlap that there's a familiarity there, while enough differences there that if you like Too Many Bones, I think you will like the Elder Scrolls. If you don't like Too Many Bones, you may still like the Elder Scrolls. There are a bunch of caveats. We're going to talk about it more when I do a full deep dive into it on Should You Back It. I'll talk more about my first impressions. I'll talk about the differences, the similarities, all of that. But overall, I really enjoy this experience. I think it's a little bit more accessible than Too Many Bones, while being a little less deep than Too Many Bones. That's the biggest thing. My biggest takeaway is similar overall structure and feeling, enough differences to be worth owning both, but one is more accessible and the other is a little bit more deep as far as the character development and just how much goes into a character experience. Lots of fun things here, but overall it's an exploration game as far as, for those of you who don't know Too Many Bones, this is a counter-based game which you're going to go through a series of 3 campaigns, and in those campaigns you're going to go through, each campaign is going to be a series of encounters till you have the eventual final delve or boss battle or whatever it is you have as the final thing you go through. Along the way you're leveling up your characters, you're gathering various dice that are going to slot, various dice and or chits that will slot into your stat board. So you're upgrading your stats, you're going to have your race, you're going to have your various, stat lines, your skill lines. There's a ton of different terms for the things you have. There's a ton of content. There's skill lines, there's guilds, there's character building, there's combat, there's races, all these things over here. Just a ton of ways you can build out your characters, an absolute ton of ways, and you can upgrade them again and again and again, continuing to improve their stats as you go through things, while also having the enemies level up against you at the same time. So this is just like an RPG experience with a ton of the page here. The amount of stuff you go through over here, let's just scroll down to like skill lines over here. I'm not going to go through everything. Let's go to races over here. So we have the races, pick a race. I think it's like 10 different races. The Argonians, the High Elves, the Dark Elves, the Wood Elves, the Khajiit, the Orcs, the Imperials, the Bretons, the Nords, the Redguards. Was that 8, 10? I'm not entirely sure. We have skill lines and classes. So we have just acrobatics, bow, Daedric summoning, destruction staff, heavy armor, one-handed shield, restoring light, shadow, speech, two-handed. We have a character building over here. Let's see. I may have skipped some things. Nope. We have the sorcerer. Yeah, we have these things over here. The classes, the acrobat, the archer, dragon knight, the healer, necromancer, Nightblade, Scout, Sorcerer, Templar, Warden. All these things, by the way, combine to kind of build your own just character. That's just this own completely unique thing. Like, this is a game, if you like experimenting with builds, you will have no end of fun with this game as you go through a series of campaigns, which is playable across 1 or 2 days, you know, whatever. It's not like hugely long. It's longer than a single shot session, but you can play it across a few sessions, wrap it up, and then start again and go back to it. So every few months, pop it out and try a new campaign, new sets of combinations. You can have a lot of fun with this game, and all of that is important because, again, we'll do a full should you back on this, so I'm not going to spend a ton more time here, but the price point on this is going to run you $195 for the base pledge. Wowzers. $195 for the base pledge. Now, if you want the gameplay bundle, it's $230. So a mere $25, $35 more to get the gameplay bundle, which is going to give you the Valenwood expansion. If you're wondering what the Valenwood expansion gives you, let's go to the add-ons and click on that. The Valenwood expansion over here brings you the home of Bosmer, the Betrayal, featuring new map, new enemies, new equipment, new sets of quests, encounters, and delves. You know what? Let's go back over here. There, boom. This is a much better thing. By the way, chip theory, just so you know, we should have a conversation because you can take this entire Valenwood thing and you can pop it into the actual add-on, so when someone clicks on this, they can see all that, which we should talk about that. I'll give you a shout. But past that, anyways, the Valenwood expansion. So we have over here the inaugural expansion for Betrayal of the Second Era. Players will be able to play in the mysterious forests of Valenwood, which are known for the Sylvian Bosman, the region's famous migratory trees. I don't know, I'm reading through this. I'm sorry. We have new stuff over here. Region Overland deck. We have 15 cards. We have more cards for the Delve deck, the Overland card deck, more loot cards, relic cards, class references. We have we have the Illusion and Security class over here. What else do we have? New skill lines, new quest enemies, region NPCs. So just a ton of new things you have being added to the game for an extra $35. Like, at that point, you may as well, right? And that's going to be the base pledges. And then we have the all-in bundle, which has things you do not need here for the record. The all-in bundle is going to be $400, but that's including a premium dice tray, which you definitely don't need. It's $40 for these 2 dice bags. $40 for these 2 dice bags. I'm not saying that, like, I mean, listen, if you want this, get it. I'm just saying you don't need this. You do not need this at all. What else is in the all-in bundle? We have the Valent content, the premium health. I do like premium health. I'm sorry. I like Chip Theory's games. I do enjoy the premium health. And then we have the Battle Mat, which I don't know whether I would or wouldn't use that. You have to judge for yourself, but it's going to run you $60 if you want to even try or have the conversation. So basically, $230 is going to be the main way you're going to be looking at things here. In fact, I haven't even looked at the number of people backing it, but we have 408 for the base game. We have 5,500 for the gameplay, and we have 2,000 for the all-in. Lord. 2,000 people. For the 2,000 people backing the all-in, you realize you're paying $40 for 2 dice bags, right? I mean, I don't know what the standard going rate for a dice bag is, but that's a whole game right there. Anyways, don't get me wrong, I definitely want this game, but I'm probably doing gameplay bundle. Maybe I'll grab the premium health. We'll figure it out. Anyways, there's a lot of stuff here. We'll do a full deep dive on this because, like, for instance, a ton of stretch goals you haven't gone into. If we go to stretch goals, there's like an absolute 49 unlocked stretch goals featuring all these various things, which we will not be talking about now, but I will be doing a full should you back it. What's this? What is this? A new class. There's a new class. There's a night class. Ooh, fun. Okay, sorry. We're going to do this later. We're going to do a full should you back it within the last, like, you know, week of the campaign or so. Because this is crossing 10,000 backers, I assume it is at least. We'll dive into that later. But that is basically the Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. It absolutely will hold its value. I'm not worried about that at all. But holding its value does not mean that it's worth $230 to you. That is a different conversation. We can have that conversation later this week. Stay tuned. There's going to be a fun little video. But that is basically everything, which means it's time for, what is it time for? It's time for the picks of the week. Picks of the week in general, I picked 2 games. I picked the game that is my personal interest pick. The game I am most interested in on a personal level and want selfishly for myself. And then past that, there's the one that I think will most likely hold its value. Sometimes they overlap. Today, they do not overlap. No, Betrayal of the Second Era, as much as I like it, is not my pick of the week. That would be my second pick of the week. My personal interest pick of the week is going to be D.E.I. Divide and Impera expansion and reprint with a caveat. The caveat is if I'm just counting the expansion, then it wouldn't be my pick of the week because I already have a bundle. In fact, you can see it behind me over here. I already have a bundle of expansions right over here. I can't figure out which finger is which. So these bundles of expansions, I haven't dove into them at all. So if we're just talking about the expansion, this wouldn't be my personal interest pick of the week. But if you're talking about the game that I am most interested in, most buzzed, and most recommend, D.E.I. is absolutely going to be my personal interest pick of the week. And if we're talking about the game that will most likely hold its value, The Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era is the game that would most likely hold its value. And with that, let's go ahead and dive into the let's dive into the upcoming campaigns. Next week we have a few things popping up. We're gonna have, what do we have? We have Mindbug popping up. Mindbug Beyond popping up on Kickstarter next week. 3,000 followers. This is the follow up to Mindbug, and then it's also worth noting that I do have a card reveal. We're gonna have a card they're gonna show over here, which is the Mole Machine. Tough. The opponent cannot block with creatures with power 7 or more, and since this is a 5-cost creature, that basically means that only a 6-cost creature can damage this. Nothing else is going to do anything to it, making it a very fun card and a good opportunity for the use of your Mindbug. That's gonna be the card reveal, so you can check that out, Beyond Evolution. And then additionally next week we have, of course, Zombicide White Death, which reluctantly I know I will be an all-in backer. I'll still try to complain, I'll still try to be balanced and fair and everything else, but I will be an all-in backer because it's medieval Zombicide. What am I supposed to do? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, I can't back these things fast enough. I can't play these things fast enough. That's gonna be another problem. That is everything, and with that, we're gonna go ahead and call it a wrap. Just over an hour. I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Thank you so much for sticking around. I appreciate all of you, and until next time, I hope you have a good one. My roommates are convinced the house we live in is haunted. I've lived there for 235 years and I haven't noticed a thing.